Hello, my beautiful friends out there. I had an urge to sit down here and just take a moment to address something that is coming up in the astrological world very quickly here, which is Venus retrograde in Capricorn. Venus retrograde has such a reputation. This transit will be going from December 18th to January 28th. And this is something I feel really passionately about, actually, and something that's why I decided to just sit down and have a really quick revamp of how we talk about Venus retrograde, because I think this is so important. So often, this retrograde, which happens about every 18 months, is aligned with things like getting a bad haircut, buying a whole bunch of clothes that we suddenly wake up, I don't know, a few weeks later and realize we hate and we think are really ugly. Decorating our homes and then realizing we think it's really ugly. Having miscommunications in our relationships, getting dumped by somebody that wasn't treating us very well. All sorts of things like that. Right? All those discussions have us focusing on this version of the world that's very superficial and doesn't really ask deeper questions. Also, I would seriously like to question a system of astrology that tells me, seriously, let's just think about this for a second, that for 6 weeks, I'm suddenly not going to be able to trust myself. I'm not going to be able to trust what I think is beautiful. I'm not going to be able to trust what I think is right for me on my body or in my spaces. I think that is such a defeating and traumatizing way of looking at astrology, where you're basically told, well, for these 6 weeks, you shouldn't try and change your looks or your appearance or your home or try and talk to anybody because it's going to get messed up. I actually think it's the complete opposite. Venus retrograde for me is about spiritual reconnection. It's about coming home to ourselves, and specifically in Capricorn, a sign that is about groundedness and inner parenting and finding a sense of deep security and finding the well of what truly motivates each of us individually. Not what culture says should motivate us, what motivates us deep down inside. That's what Venus retrograde is about. Venus retrograde is a time of rebirth. She meets the sun, and in meeting that sun in the center of Venus retrograde, she begins a completely new cycle at the very center of this season. And there are such deeper, more meaningful questions that we can ask when it comes to things like the things around us that we value, the way that we value our beauty, right? Because we can also question here and go much deeper. We can question why there are certain cultural beauty standards. We can get more open to the fact that beauty comes in many different forms. It does not have to fit a certain mold or style. Other questions we can be asking are about our root systems. How are we feeling about, any generational patterns that we are excited to release and heal from? Are we numbing ourselves out with things like shopping or being worried about our looks or dating people we don't really like? We can ask a lot deeper questions. We can also ask questions about what we're creating next and how we're moving forward. While this can be a season of releasing what we have left behind and grieving and letting go, this can also be a season of huge creative insights and breakthroughs and solidifying of bonds and creative projects that are serving us. So really what we want to be focusing on during Venus retrograde is trusting ourselves more, trusting our intuition more, trusting our sense of knowing who we are and what we need more, getting really honest with ourselves about what we are ready for change within and where we are ready to step out in ways that maybe we haven't before and try things differently and in new ways. And I think that's a much better way to look at Venus retrograde, and one that is a lot more true to what is going on there. I personally think that we can trust ourselves a lot more than we give ourselves credit for. And I also think Venus often gets a kind of like a short end of the stick because so often she's talked about in terms of what we think is pretty and fluffy and nice and diplomatic. And for me, Venus is not just that. That's one part of it. But what we find beautiful and motivating and energizing and wonderful about this life is anything but superficial. And when we get told basically that this is just a cherry on the top, it's just something nice to look forward to maybe once in a while, and we denigrate our seeking of beauty in our day-to-day lives, is a huge failing on the part of astrological teachings, I think. So I want to bring back some of the deeper spiritual, loving nature of this transit and have it be a place where we can each decide what we want that to mean for us. What does it mean to each of us to come home to ourselves and check in with ourselves and release where we need releasing and commit where we need committing and trust ourselves more? That's what it's all about. So I just needed to get that off of my chest because it's been bothering me for ages. And I just had a moment. I had a moment here today, my friends. I am going deeper on this on Patreon, kind of contextualizing Venus retrograde in Capricorn, what's been going on there, how to work with this. We're doing worksheets, we're doing discussions. We're going to be working through this energy for the next couple of months. So I'd love to see you over there. But of course, I'll be here, probably sharing more of these little moments as we move forward. I'm hoping to just have more candid moments like this where I just kind of chat about something I feel strongly about. I don't know. Is it working? We'll see. It's a time of experimentation for me, and that's going to keep happening around here. So I'll see you all very soon. I hope you like and subscribe and hang out more. We will be back very soon for more chats.